Good evening, one and everyone present over here. Okay, now my name is Jackson, and today we have been holding this webinar for a special purpose. So now during this lockdown, I know you all must be preparing for you're busy preparing for your NEET examinations as you're aspiring to become future doctors. Okay, so here we are to help you. Now, what you can do for the preparation of NEET examinations. So today I'm going to speak on tips and tricks about how you can study chemistry in a more easier way in preparation of your NEET examination. So I hope this will be a wonderful session and you will definitely benefit from this session. So let's begin with this session now. So before entering into the session, I would ask you all to enter the session with full of energy and enthusiasm because you will be learning something new today. So now, before beginning with the session, always have this positive attitude in yourself that you can do it. Now, whenever you want to do something in your life, always remember have the positive attitude that you can do it. Yes, you can crack the NEET examination and score very good marks in your exam, and definitely you all can get good early admissions in good colleges for your MBBS, okay, for your medical studies. So always have this confidence in yourself that you can do it, so that will develop a positive energy in yourself. Now just we will look at the basic uh, descriptions like now the pattern you must be aware of it, but still we will discuss for a few minutes. Now the total number of questions asked in a NEET examination will be 180, and total marks will be 720. That is, each question will carry 4 marks, so 180 into 4 will be equal to 720. Number of questions in each section, like in physics sections you will be having total 45 question, in chemistry you will be having total 45 questions, and since you are aspiring for becoming a doctor, that means you definitely have biology will be carrying more marks. So biology, total there will be 90 questions in biology. So out of 90 questions, 45 questions will be asked from botany and 45 questions will be asked from zoology. So marking scheme, as I've said you already, each questions will carry 4 marks. So if you answer one correct answer, you will be awarded with 4 marks. And suppose if you answer an incorrect, if you answer a question incorrectly, it will be deducted by 1 marks. And the types of questions asked will be multiple choice questions, that is MCQs, and the exam mode will be of pen and paper, and the time duration for your examination will be of 3 hours. Okay, so so now we'll move on to the session. Now, first part will be dividing the section into different parts. So, in first part, we will look first. We look at the branches of chemistry. Now, in the branches of chemistry, there are total 4 branches of chemistry. One is organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, and analytical chemistry. So, but for your NEET portion, mostly you don't have questions asked from analytical chemistry. So you have to study organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and physical chemistry. So we will be discussing about these 3 branches of chemistry, and I will be giving you all ideas about how you can study this organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, as well as physical chemistry in a more easier way. Now, the basic thing that while preparing for your NEET examination that you have to follow is, now whenever you appear for a NEET examination, you have to first identify the important topics that you have to study. It is not that you just took out your book and started studying from any chapter. Okay, now first you have to identify the most important topics that is for your NEET examination, and then you should start with your preparation. Now, when you consider organic chemistry, now in organic chemistry, there are 6 important topics. Now, when I say these 6 important topics, these are the most important topics in organic chemistry. It doesn't mean the remaining chapters you all don't have to study. Remaining chapters also you'll have to study to have some basic knowledge of the other chapters, but focus more on these 6 topics. Why? Because this 6 topics itself will be carrying 26 percentage of the marks asked from the organic part. Now, the first topic is biomolecules and polymers. And second topic is hydrocarbons. Third topic is general organic chemistry. In short, you can call it as GOC. Then you have alcohols and ethers, amines and diazonium salts, and haloalkanes and haloarenes. If you look at the besides each and every topic, I have written E and D. E means it is an easy topic, whereas D means difficult topic. Okay. Now, difficult doesn't mean that you have to, it is very difficult that you won't be able to do it or you won't be able to study it. Difficult means like compared to easy subject, you have to put little more efforts in order to study those topics. That is the only difference between the easy topics and difficult topics. So biomolecules and polymers, and whenever you will be studying, read your textbooks and study the basic topics very well from before beginning any topics. And you can see the percentage of marks that I have given below. Now, percentage of marks, like overall percentage of marks that will be asked from organic chemistry is 34 percentage. And out of 34 percentage of like total marks in organic chemistry, 26 percentage of questions will be asked from these six topics, that is biomolecules and polymers, hydrocarbons, GOC, alcohols and ethers, amines and diazonium salts, haloalkanes and haloarenes. So focus more on these six topics. Okay, and apart from that, the remaining topics you all should have the basic knowledge, because sometimes many easy questions will be asked from the other topics as well. So just have the basic knowledge of other topics as well. Now, biomolecules and polymers, mostly two questions will be asked from this chapter. And then hydrocarbons. Now, hydrocarbons is the most important topic in organic chemistry, as almost five questions will be asked from this part. And in hydrocarbons, we have four different sections. One is the alkanes, then we have alkenes, then we have alkynes, and we have aromatic compounds as well. Out of this four part in hydrocarbons, the aromatic compound is the most important part. Why? Because from aromatic part, almost three out of five, three questions will be asked from aromatic compounds. So focus more on aromatic compounds in hydrocarbons. Hope that is clear. Then in GOC, again, GOC maximum two questions will be asked. Alcohols, phenols, ethers, again two questions. Then amines and diazonium salt, again two questions. And haloalkanes and haloarenes, again two questions. Is it clear? So one more time I'll remind you all, when I say these are the six most important topics. So remaining topics you all don't have, like remaining topics you all have to study, but these are the more topics which you have to focus more on. Okay, so this is about organic chemistry. So next we'll move on to inorganic chemistry. So when you speak about inorganic chemistry, now inorganic chemistry, again, the six topics which I have given you all, these are the most important topic in inorganic chemistry. So first is classification of elements and periodicity in properties. So when I say classification of elements and periodicity, that is first important topic, and it is an easy topic. Then we have p block elements, then we have coordination compounds, then we have s block elements and hydrogen, then you have chemical bonding and molecular structure, and then you have d and f block elements. Again, the overall percentage of marks asked from inorganic chemistry is 34 percentage. And almost the inorganic questions which are asked, out of that almost 30 percentage of questions are asked from this important topics, that is classification of elements and periodicity, p block elements, coordination compound, s block elements and hydrogen, chemical bonding and molecular structure, d and f block elements. If you can see, in s block element is a different topic and hydrogen as is a different topic, so both of them are combined and asked questions. So total you have to study seven topics in inorganic chemistry. So these are the seven most important topic in inorganic chemistry. So focus more on this topic, and remaining topics you can just have the basic knowledge of the other topics, so that you will be able to answer the questions asked from the other topics as well, but focus more on these topics. Now, in terms of number of questions asked from classification of elements and periodicity, maximum two questions are asked. Then P block elements, we have three questions asked. Then coordination compounds, again three questions are asked. S block elements and hydrogen, two questions are asked. Now, in this, chemical bonding and molecular structure is the most important topic. and almost 4 questions are asked from this topic. So in this, the most important topic is chemical bonding and molecular structure, because maximum questions will be asked from chemical bonding and molecular structure. And then from D and F block elements, 2 questions will be asked. And the number of questions which I am saying and the percentage of questions that I have mentioned over here, they are not the exact values. We can see the symbol which I have used. I have used a symbol of approximate. So that is the approximate values I am giving here over maximum. That is the maximum. Like 34% means maximum 34 percentage of questions can be asked from inorganic. And from these important topics, maximum 30 percentage of questions can be asked. Is it clear? And so in terms of number of questions as well, whatever number of questions I'm telling from a particular chapter, that is the to maximum number of questions that can be asked. That is the approximate value. So from inorganic chemistry, these are the most important topics, so focus more on these topics. So next is physical chemistry. Now physical chemistry, chemical thermodynamics, solid state, some basic concepts of chemistry. Then we have chemical kinetics, solution and colligative property, chemical and ionic equilibria. Again, out of this, chemical thermodynamics and solid states are easy topic. Then some basic concepts, chemical kinetics, solution and colligative property, chemical and ionic equilibria are difficult topics. Again, I am repeating, difficult topic. It just means you have to put little more efforts as compared to that of the easy topic. Now, the total percentage of marks asked from physical chemistry is of 32%. Approximately 32% of question is asked from physical chemistry. And from these important topics, approximately 25 percentage of questions are asked from this important topics. So in terms of total number of questions, from chemical thermodynamics, maximum 2 questions will be asked. Solid state, maximum 2 questions will be asked. Some basic concepts of chemistry, again, maximum 2 questions can be asked. Chemical kinetics, again, 2 questions can be asked. Solution and colligative property, also 2 questions. Whereas in chemical and ionic equilibria, maximum 3. So in physical chemistry, the most important topic is chemical and ionic equilibria. Okay, so one more time. So now we have seen the important topics from organic chemistry, then inorganic chemistry and physical chemistry. If you look at the overall percentage of marks asked from organic, inorganic and physical are almost same, like 34, 34 and 32 percentage, right? So you can't quit any of the any one branch of chemistry. Suppose if you feel, if you say that I am not good with physical chemistry, so I will study only inorganic and inorganic chemistry, then that won't work. If you want to score good marks in your NEET examination, you have to master yourself in all the 3 branches of chemistry, that is organic, inorganic and physical chemistry. And first what we have to do, whatever important topics I have given, that is approximately I have mentioned or at about 18 to 20 important topics. So you focus or more on these topics first, and then you can start with the other topics. Is it clear now? Okay, now what I had said, you have to study all the 3 branches, that is organic, inorganic as physical chemistry. Now you might be thinking, suppose if I am weak in a particular subject, then how will I be able to study? So for that only I am here to help you all. So I'll be giving you all tips about how to study, right? So now the most important questions in the student's mind whenever they start studying is that question like how to study, what to study, from where to start, right? So many questions arise when you take out a book, and finally what happens when you get confused by these questions, you finally close the book and then you go to sleep or you do some other work. So that is most of the time happens. It is not that you all purposely don't study. Sometimes you all might get confused and finally you give up to study. So I'm here to give you all the tips and tricks about how to study the different branches of chemistry for you all to score good marks in your NEET examination. So let's go. So first is organic chemistry. Now, if you want to master yourself in organic chemistry, the first thing you have to do is to understand the concept of GOC very well. That is the general organic chemistry. And before that, you should know what is organic chemistry. Now, what is organic chemistry? Organic chemistry is the study of carbon and its compound. Carbon is present everywhere. It is present throughout our body. It is present in each and every substances that is around us. So study of carbon is very vast. Hence, it is included under organic chemistry. Now, the basic thing you have to study in organic chemistry is GOC, that is the general organic chemistry. So, in general organic chemistry, you will be learning about the classification of organic chemistry. You will be studying about the IUPAC nomenclature. Then you will be studying about isomerism. Okay, you will be studying about different types of reactions. You will be studying about the electrophiles and nucleophiles. You will be studying about hyperconjugation. You will be studying about inductive effect, electromagnetic effect, resonance, and as well as you will be studying about the different class of organic compounds, right? So these are the basic things for organic chemistry, so you should have very good knowledge of GOC. That is why it is said you have to study GOC very well if you want to master yourself in organic chemistry. And also apart from GOC, then in hydrocarbons is another important topic. Even I had said you all, in hydrocarbon carries the maximum number of marks in organic chemistry. Now, organic chemistry, so in hydrocarbon as well, that is the study of carbon and compounds containing carbon and hydrogen. So under hydrocarbons, you have to study alkanes, you have to study alkenes, you have to study alkynes and aromatic compounds. So whatever I have said, that is the GOC and hydrocarbons. Both these topics contain the basic of organic chemistry. So if you want to master yourself in organic chemistry, these are the two topics that you have to study first and master yourself in organic chemistry. Is it clear? Now, in hydrocarbons as well, you have to study about the IUPAC nomenclature, and also you have to study about their physical properties as well as the chemical properties. Okay, and other important topics you can see over here. Other important topics as mentioned here: isomerism, then you have to should have the knowledge of electrophiles and nucleophiles, because basically when you prepare for your NEET examinations you will be hearing these words very much: substitution nucleophilic reaction, substitution electrophilic reaction. So if you don't know the meaning of electrophiles and nucleophile, then you won't be able to understand the reactions. Then again, resonance and conjugation, because there are various molecules whose stabilities depend upon resonance structure. Okay, so you should have the knowledge of resonance as well, because these are the few basic things that when you will be studying organic chemistry, you'll be coming through these basic terms very quite often. So have understand this basic knowledge very well. Now these are the basic thing which I have said you all. Apart from this, now when you like develop your basic knowledge very well, and then the second challenging thing in organic chemistry is chemical reactions. Now, you might be wondering how to study the chemical reactions. Now, first of all, for understanding the chemical reactions, the first basic thing is that you have to master yourself the reactions in these topics, that is alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and aromatic compound. Why? Because whatever reactions you will be studying for your NEET examination, all these reactions you must have, you must be studying in alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and aromatics. So if you master yourself the reactions that are present in alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and and aromatic compound, then the reactions in these topics, for example, halogen derivatives of alkanes, alcohols, phenols, ethers, aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acid. Then we have compounds containing nitrogen. All the reactions of these topics will also become easier, because most of the reactions will be repeated in this topic, because basic reactions are included in hydrocarbon, like halogenation, hydrogenation, beta elimination reaction, then you addition reaction. So whatever basic reactions you will be learning in hydrocarbons topic only. So master yourself in your basic reactions, then definitely you will find studying chemical reactions very easily. And one more thing, whenever you will be studying chemistry reactions, you have to understand the chemical reactions. Now you are not in senior kg or junior kg trying to recite any poem or something. Okay, you are now in 12th standard, so you are matured enough and your understanding skill is very well developed. So you have to understand the chemical reactions. because most of them have the habit of mugging up the things and recitate it. So understand the chemical reactions very well. Why? Because in most of the chemical reactions, if you observe carefully, it is what the atomic rearrangements takes place. For example, if you consider the simple neutralization reaction, that is NaOH plus HCl, which gives NaCl plus H2O. In that case, if you see NaOH plus HCl, OH and Cl will replace each other, resulting in the formation of salt and water. So that is what you have to understand. You have to understand the logic above how the atoms are getting rearranged in a given reactants to resulting in the formation of a product. So that is the basic thing you have to follow in order to study the chemical reactions. That is, understand the chemical reactions and don't recitate the chemical reactions. Now, one, suppose if you understood the chemical reactions, but still sometimes you might feel difficult to remember it. So then what is the next step? Understand the chemical reaction and then write the chemical reactions and practice. Okay, well, first you will understand the chemical reactions and then you have to write the chemical reactions and practice. Let you like you have to practice in such a way that you should finish at least one or two notebooks completely with chemical reactions. Then you will definitely find yourself that you have mastered yourself in chemical reactions. And you can see in that picture holding the boy holding the book, the what is given, the more you understand, the easier it is to understand more. So when you start understanding the basic things, then you will be able to understand the tougher reactions as well. Okay. Hmm. And mostly, if you consider, and from IUPAC nomenclature, in it mostly one question is always done. So, and from isomerism, electrophiles, nucleophile resonance, also mostly questions are asked, and mostly 3 to 4 questions are asked from chemical convergence. So you have to master yourself in chemical convergence. So these are the basic things for studying organic chemistry and mastering yourself in organic chemistry. Now, I will give you a few ideas about how you can master yourself the chemical reactions, so which I call as the mind map. Now this is the mind map for alcohol's topic. Now you don't have to study the entire reactions, you have to just remember these reactions. How many reactions are there? 1 2 3 4 5, and yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So 5 and 8, total 13 reactions. Now this, on left hand side I have the methods of preparation of alcohol, and on right hand side I have the reactions of alcohol. So even if you know these general reactions, even if you study, now you may see you have only one page to study. Okay, rather than if you take out the textbook and studying the entire reactions, you have to just study one page, right? So understand this concept so that it will become easier for you all to study the reactions. Now same, and you can see I written here R dash OH. Now you have to just remember the general reactions for each and every reactions. So according to the questions, you have to just change the value of R. So by changing the value of R, you can write any kind of reactions. Then similarly, if you want for amines also you can see. So in that chapter we had total 13 reactions. So here how many reactions do we have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, total 14 reactions. So 12 plus 14 will give you something 26 reactions to, or 27 reactions total now. Is it clear? So now again, on left hand side, you have the reactions for preparation of amines, and on right hand side, you have the reactions of amines. Again, if you see, these are the general reactions which I have written over here. You have to just change the value of for writing any reactions. Okay, so according to the product, you have to just change the value of Is it clear? So next, other same. Next is for alkyl halides. So again, alkyl halides. So in that total 26 reactions, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 39 reactions now. Is it clear? So now total 36 reactions in this. Again, left hand side you have the reactions for preparation of alkyl halide, and on right hand side you have the reactions of alkyl halide. Again, you can see I have written all the general reactions. So according to our product, we have to just change the value of Next is for aldehydes and ketones. Okay, now those who had appeared for my last session also. So I have added one more mind map. So this is for aldehydes and ketones. Now, if you observe this mind map again, studying because most of them find aldehydes and ketones ka reactions little difficult. So if you want, you can follow this idea. This will make you make it easier for you all to study the reactions of aldehyde and ketone. So if you count, previously we had total 36 reactions. So in aldehydes and ketones, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Seven methods of preparation. And you can say I have splitted both the reactions, that is for preparation of aldehyde and for preparation of ketone in each and every reactions. And you can see the asterisk mark. The reagents remain the same for both preparation of aldehydes and ketones. Only you have to change the main reactant. You can see if you want to convert alcohol to aldehyde, you will be using 1 degree, that is primary alcohol. And if you want to convert alcohol to ketone, you will be using 2 degree alcohol, 2 degree alcohol, that is secondary alcohol. Okay, but the condition for both the reaction will be same. The reagent will be potassium dichromate in presence of sulfuric acid, that is the oxidizing agent will be used. Okay, so if you study the reactions in this way, it will be very useful. Again, if you want to convert carboxylic acid into aldehyde, then which carboxylic acid we have to use? We have to carry out a reaction between calcium formate and a higher calcium carboxylate, right? If you want to prepare ketone, then we have to use a mixture of higher carboxylic acid, sorry, calcium carboxylate. And if you want to prepare formaldehyde, then you have to just make use of calcium formate. So in this way, if you write and keep, you will be able to understand and remember the reactions very easily. And on the other side, you can see I have written an aldehyde and a ketone. And see the reagent, okay, I've written over here, and product for aldehyde and product for ketone. So you can see the only difference between aldehyde and ketone. What is the only difference? In aldehyde you will be having an hydrogen atom, whereas in ketone, in place of hydrogen, we'll be having an alkyl group. That is the only difference between the aldehyde and ketone, and the rest of the reactions will remain the same. Okay, so now when you compare and study in this way, it becomes easy for you to understand the reactions. Okay, so make a table like a mind map in this way, in whatever easy way you find. According to, now this I have done according to my own way, like whichever according to my comfort level for understanding. So you all have a different comfort level for understanding, so accordingly you can draw a mind map for your own convenience and make it easy for you to study. Now, sometimes there are certain reactions which involves two or more steps. So for that also you can, this is one thing, because in this case you can find out various conversion, like alkali to alcohol, alkali to carboxylic acid. If you want to convert alcohol, alkali to amide. Okay, because if you look at the chapter of halogen derivatives of alkane, you won't be having a direct reaction for converting an alkali to amide. So if you want to convert alkali to amide, you have to carry out three different steps. So if you remember this, whatever conversion is asked, you can easily write down the reactions. Only you have to change the value of R according to the product asked. So understood. So these are some of the tips and tricks for mastering yourself for organic chemistry. And if you follow it, I guarantee you that definitely you will master your organic chemistry very well. Now, whatever chapters we have discussed, if you observe, there are almost 50 to 60 chemical reactions. Now, if you, even if you have not started studying for your NEET examination, now almost today's June 18, and almost 1 month is left for your NEET examination. Just imagine, suppose if you study 5 reactions a day. Okay, if you study 5 reactions a day, approximately a 50 to 60 reactions in organic chemistry for a neat portion, right? And if you study 5 reactions a day, so that means in 12 days you will complete the entire reactions of organic chemistry. That is called as planning. So plan your studies very, planning is very important. Understood? So plan your studies. So I will say from today onwards, start practicing five reactions every day. You will definitely complete the entire reactions of organic chemistry within 2 weeks of time. Okay, and if you want to study 5 reactions, you have to hardly sit for 15 to 20 minutes. You can complete 5 reactions. Okay, even if you take 5 minutes for one reaction, so in that way you don't have to spend much time as well. So this is about organic chemistry. So follow this, you will definitely master yourself in organic chemistry. So next is inorganic. Now, inorganic. I will say why most of them find inorganic little difficult. They do not find inorganic difficult, but they find it boring. Why? Because it involves most of the theories, right? So again, for inorganic chemistry, you have to uh, clear your basic concepts very well. And if you want to clear your basic concepts very well, you don't have any other option other than reading your textbook, right? Mostly NCRT textbook is preferable, but if you have a state board textbook as well, it's okay. You can read that textbook very well, because your state level board textbook also carries almost 70 to 80 percentage of your need portions. For remaining uh, for remaining 20%, what you can do, whatever notes you will be having, you can study the remaining points from that notes as well. Is it clear? So make sure you have to clear your basic concept very well now. And also, so for clearing the basic concept, read your NCRT textbook very well. Is it clear? Now, periodic table. Now, periodic table and chemical bonding, they are the backbone for inorganic chemistry. It is, if you don't know periodic table and don't know chemical bonding, then you will never be able to master yourself in inorganic chemistry. So you have, if you want to master yourself in inorganic chemistry, so first of all, you have to master yourself in periodic table and chemical bonding. So that is the basic thing you have to follow in inorganic chemistry. Now, in periodic table, what you have to learn, first of all, you can use mnemonics method to study the periodic table, so that you can remember each and every element present in the periodic table. And the periodic table is divided into S block, P block, D and F block. So you can study them according to the block wise, like the basic things you can study according to the block wise. And you can also learn, you should also learn the periodic trends very well, okay, in periodic table. That is also very important. And also, you have reactions in P block elements, S block, and D and F block elements. So you have to plan to study the reactions, like I said, for organic chemistry. So inorganic as compared to organic chemistry, in inorganic you have less amount of reactions. So as I said, the planning for organic chemistry about how to study the chemical reactions, like 5 reactions a day. Similarly, you can plan to study, once you complete organic reactions, then you can plan for inorganic reactions as well in the same way. And again, you can complete very quickly within a week of time if you follow the same method. And another important thing to master yourself in inorganic chemistry is to follow the sequence of chapter. You can't take any chapter in organic chemistry and study. You have to follow a proper sequence about what to study in an inorganic chemistry. So I will share the sequence with you all. So whenever you will be studying inorganic chemistry, first of all, start with periodic table. So once a periodic table, then you can start as block, because once you get the basic knowledge of periodic table, then you have to study periodic table in much deeper. So that is why you have to study about S block elements, you have to study about P block elements, and you have to study about D and F block elements. When you study all this, that means you will be very, very thorough with your periodic table, right? So that means you will become a master of periodic table. And once you become master of periodic table, then you have to move to chemical bonding, right? Now, chemical bonding, what I said, it is the second most important topic in inorganic chemistry. So in chemical bonding, you will be learning about different types of bonding, okay, and all. So, and after chemical bonding, you can move to coordination compound. So when you study chemical bonding, you will come to know what is a coordination bond. So when you come to know what is a coordination bond, it will be helpful for you to study coordination compound chapter very easily. And then you can study the remaining chapters like metallurgy, hydrogen. You have other chapters you can study. And you can see the various trends of periodic table that I have given you all. So if you remember this diagram, this will be easier for you all. You can see here the ionization energy. If you move from left to right in a periodic table, the ionization energy increases, electron affinity increases, right? And when you move from left to right, you can see the atomic radius will decrease. From top to bottom, atomic radius will decrease top to bottom along the group. Electron affinity will, from bottom to top, that electron affinity will increase, and ionization enthalpy will also increase from bottom to top. So in this way, if you remember this chart, you can remember like all the, if any question is asked related to the trends in periodic table, you will be able to answer it very easily. Or you can, if you find this diagram a little difficult, then you, or else then you can follow this table. You can see from top to bottom, in group, atomic radius will increase. From left to right in period, the atomic radius will decrease. Once you understand this concept, after that, what you have to do, you have to study the reason. Why does the atomic radius increase from top to bottom in group? Why does the atomic radius decrease from left to right in the period? So this is the way how to study the periodic table. First understand the periodic table, and once you understand the periodic trends, then what you have to do, you have to study the reason for such periodic trend. Understand? So in that way you will be able to master yourself the periodic table. So this were, and also for studying this S block, P block, I will give you certain ideas. You can make mind map and study. Now if you look at your textbook or notes, what will happen, if you open, it will be having plenty of pages for group 13, but at the end of the day, like before, when you are revising, in revising again to sit and study those entire pages, it becomes very difficult. So when you read the textbook for the first time, that time only what you can do, you can make a mind map or concept map in this way. So whatever points you want to cover in that page. So in one single page you will be having the entire chapter. Suppose if you want to revise it again, then you don't have to refer your textbook. You can just take out this one page and you can revise it quickly. Just imagine, if you want to, if you take out a textbook, you turn the pages, and if you revise, or if you revise the entire thing in a single sheet of paper, how much time you can save, right? And you won't get bored also, because if you study the same thing for number of time, then sometimes you might get bored also. Why? Because it consumes more time. So if you have a single page, you can revise the entire thing very quickly, and it will be very easy for you to understand as well. So this is for group 13. Similarly, you can make for group 14 as well. Okay, so if you look at more, almost entire, what are the important top like points of group 14, each and every points will be included. Again, like for group 16. Okay, so for group 16 also, it's very easy. Now this, you can see the mind map you can make in two different ways. So this is one way of making a mind maps. Like, you can write the name in the center, and then you can draw arrows and write the whatever informations you need. Or else you can make in this way also. You can write one heading, and accordingly you can write the information for that particular heading as well. So this is for group 16. I had made it in a different way. And then for one more group I have made, I even made for groups 15 as well. Okay, this is for group 15. Okay, so it is just the page to fit, I kept in inverted position. Okay, so in this case also, if you will see group 15, each and every information you will get, like you will get the atomic radius, atomic and ionic radius information. You will get the information of ionization enthalpy. You will get the information of electronegativity. You will get the idea of physical properties. You will get the information of chemical properties. You will get the information about how to prepare dinitrogen. Then you will get the information about different oxides of nitrogen. You will get the information about how to prepare ammonia. You will get the information of structure of ammonia. You will get the information electronic configuration, what are the elements present in group 15. So all the informations are covered in a single paper, right? So your study becomes very easier, and your revision also becomes very easy if you study in this way. So whenever you study anything, make a mind map according to your own ideas, according to your own convenience, because it is who you are going to study it, and not someone else. So it should be easy for you. So that is why you have to make for yourself. This I am giving you all an examples, but it doesn't mean you have to follow the same way. You can make in your own way as well, whichever is easy for you. So this is about physical chemistry. So next we'll move on. So this is about inorganic chemistry. Next we'll move on to physical chemistry. So now in physical chemistry, again, now most of them find physical chemistry difficult. Why? Because it involves numericals, and most of them find it very boring to solve the numericals, because many of them don't like maths, right? So it becomes difficult. So but you have no choice, because you have to study physical chemistry in order to score good marks in your NEET examination. So again, a basic thing you have to follow for scoring good marks in physical chemistry is to read your NCERT textbook. Again, for your, in order to understand your theory, you have to read your textbooks very well. And when you study a formula, now say, uh, like you must have studied the formula for volume in maths, right? Like volume of a cube is side cube, volume of a cuboid is length into breadth into height. Okay, you have studied different formulas for volume, but how many of them know how to find the like how to calculate the volume of any given figure? Suppose if I have given you a cylinder, and if you don't know the formula, how you can calculate that basic? You should understand, like you should understand basic thing behind the formula. See, whenever you are given any 3D structure, now even if you have a textbook of yours, and if you want to calculate the volume of a textbook, whatever figure is given to you, always remember the formula for volume is area of base multiplied by height. This is the basic formula for volume. So whatever shape, whatever figure is given to you all, and if you are asked to find the volume, and if you understand the logic behind the formula for volume, then you will be able to calculate the volume for any given figures. So for the formula for volume, what is the logic? The formula for volume is always area of base multiplied by height. That is the logic behind the formula for volume. So if you understand the logic behind any formula, and then you will be able to solve any kind of questions easily. And that means you don't have to buy out the formulas, but you have to understand the logic behind each and every formula. Another example I will we will discuss later. Then you have to practice the numericals very well from your textbooks. Now, not only NCR textbook, even if you have your state board textbooks, you can practice numericals from your state board textbook as well, and practice the numericals very well. Okay, and understand the formula. Okay, suppose if you know, if you have biated the formula, and if you're not able to understand the logic behind the formula, and if you don't understand a numerical question, then you won't be able to understand which formula has to be applied. So there will be confusion, and you won't be able to solve the numerical. So understand the formulas and practice the numericals very well, as many time as possible. Then, there are various constant terms involved in physical chemistry, so you have to remember each and every physical constant terms, and also you have to remember their units. Now, time management. Now, time management, like if for a NEET examination, you need to manage your time very well. Now, here, but I have mentioned it in physical chemistry purposely. Why? Because in physical chemistry, you will be having numericals, because and most of them have an habit of spending lots of time in calculation and all. So you have to manage your time, and you have to solve the numericals very quickly, and do not waste your time while solving the numericals. That is why time management is very important. And then for solving numericals, because most of them, those who are appearing for NEET, you'll drop maths in your 12th standard, and you adapt for psychology. So again, but whatever it might be, you should have the basic knowledge of maths. Is it clear? Like logarithm value, logarithm you should know that for calculation. So basic, have the basic knowledge of mathematics. Then concepts of equilibrium. Well, now chemical equilibrium, it's a very important topic. So understand the concepts of equilibrium very well, and also remember the units for different physical quantities as well. Now, say what I had said, you have to understand the formula and for solving the numericals, right? Now, what is asked? Calculate the amount of work done when 0.5 mole of an ideal gas is expanded isothermally and reversibly from a volume of 2 liter to 5 liter. Now, for calculating the work, we have different formulas. One formula is minus P external delta V. Then another formula is Wmax formula, that is minus 2.303 nRT log of V2 upon V1, or log of P2 P1 upon P2. Another formula is W will be equal to minus delta N RT. Okay. Now, if you understand the formula properly, the first formula is minus P external delta V. That is the formula when you're asked to find a work under the condition, under the isothermal condition. And Wmax formula, it is used when the condition is mentioned as isothermal and reversible. And W equal to minus delta nRT formula is used when we are asked to find the work done in a chemical reaction. So different concepts for different formulas. So that is why you have to understand the logic behind each and every formula. So whenever you will be solving any numericals, you have to ask few questions to yourself. First is you have to ask yourself what to calculate. You have to calculate the work done. Now, what description is given the question? What is happening in the question? Expansion of gas is taking place. Under what condition expansion is taking place? Under isothermal and reversible condition. So with the help of these first three questions, you have to identify the concept. So this is a concept of maximum work. And for the formula for maximum work will be minus 2.303 nRT log V2 upon V1. Why V2 upon V1? Because we have been given the values of volume. If values of pressure was given, then you will be using the formula P1 upon P2, and then you have to substitute all the values and calculate the answer. And for again, if you want to study few topics, now these are the formulas, so you can write down the formulas for each and every topic in this manner, and you can study, because if you have the formulas together, then it will be easy for you all to revise. So I have just made shown you for one topic, that is concept of basic concept of chemistry. And one more thing, in basic concept of chemistry you have to understand a mole concept very well, okay, because most of the time questions are asked from mole concept only. So understand the mole concept very well. Okay, so you can make this formula sheet for each and every topic, like chemical thermodynamics, solution and colligative properties, chemical kinetics, each and everything chapters you can make such formula sheet and game. Now again, you can make a mind map to study physical chemistry as well. So this is given for chemical kinetics. See, in this one topic you will be able to revise the entire chapter of chemical kinetics, right? Now chemical kinetics, rate of the reaction, and then based on collision theory. So you can see, so from this one page only you can revise the entire chapter of chemical kinetics, which will make it easier for you all to revise. Understood? Instead of sitting for 1 or 2 hours and revise chemical kinetics, you can revise it within 15 to 20 minutes. So make such mind map. This is according to my own is I have made. So again I am saying, you can make according to your own understanding level and your own what you can say comfort level. So one more I have made, this is for the next is for this, you can see for chemical thermodynamics. So in this way, if you make a mind map, you can see the entire topic of chemical thermodynamics has been covered in this. Each and every point of chemical thermodynamics has been covered. Okay, so in this way, always when you study, make a mind map. Whenever you will be reading the textbook, that time itself, what you can do, you can make a mind map and keep, so that next you then after that you don't have to. Okay, so make the mind map and keep, so that it will become easy for you all to revise. Understood? This was about physical chemistry. So we have discussed about, I've given you all the tips and tricks about how to study the organic chemistry, then inorganic chemistry, as well as physical chemistry. So use those tips and tricks, and definitely I am assuring you, you will definitely master yourself in each branch of chemistry, and will score definitely good marks in your examination. Now next is the basic things. Again, now the general instructions. First of all, plan a study timetable every day. Suppose if you are going to study tomorrow, plan your timetable properly. Morning what you're going to study, afternoon what you're going to study, and evening what you're going to study. And what would I say suggest? You should just study in morning and afternoon only. And night before going to sleep, whatever topics you have studied in morning and afternoon, you just solve those questions at night before going to sleep. Okay, so then you will also be able, you won't will also find it easier, and you will get a revision before going to bed. And then keep one thing in mind, you have to read your NCERT textbook at least 2 to 3 times. That depends upon your, now if you're starting from now, it is little difficult, but still you can try. Then make separate notes. Like for reactions, make a separate book. For practicing the structures, make a separate book. For formulas, make a separate book. And for solving numericals, make a separate book. And then use sticky notes. Suppose if you find some topic to remember, if you're finding it difficult, what you can do, you can make sticky notes and stick it in your room, so that whenever you will be around the room, you can go through it and revise it any moment of time. You can make flashcards to study, you can use mnemonics to study. Okay, and then according to me, what would I say, LRT, that is the last revision time, is very important. Now those who have started studying for your NEET examination from long back, and suppose if you almost studied everything, always remember, now last 2 weeks of your NEET examination, you don't have to study any new topics. Last 2 weeks before your NEET examination, you have to revise whatever you have studied. Is it clear? So last 2 weeks, plan accordingly, and whatever you have studied, just revise that. No new topic you have to study for the last 2 weeks. And utilize your leisure time. Now leisure time, you have to use yourself to free your mind, right? So leisure time, you have to use yourself to free your mind. You might like to play something, or you might like to talk with your parents, or if you like to do some other leisure activities like music or any other thing, dancing. So use your leisure time properly so that you can refresh yourself and your mind will be fresh and active to study. And also the base one more important thing, practice the previous year's question papers as well. It will be, you will get it online as well, so you can download those question papers and practice it very well. And also now ask your doubts very well. Now most of them will be going to classes for NEET examination, so whoever is guiding you all for preparing for your NEET examination, feel free to ask your doubts to them. Never be frank to ask clear your doubts. Don't feel shy or something, because if you want to learn something, you have to be frank enough to ask your difficulties. Then during examination, selection of questions is important. Why? Because if you answer it right, you will be awarded 4 marks, and if you answer it wrong, 1 marks will be deducted. So you selection of question is very important. Whichever questions you are very confident enough, those questions attempt first, and finally you can go to those questions which you find what you can say, if you have any doubt in those questions. Is it clear? So whatever questions you are having confidence, first solve those questions in during the examination. And when you will be going for your examination, you have to be confident, as well as you have to believe in yourself that you can do it. Is it clear? Why? Because believe in yourself, know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. So if you believe in yourself, you will be able to overcome any kind of obstacle. Okay. And whenever you feel low, and if you feel less and low in confidence, then use this three magical word, that is I can, I will, and I must. Close your eyes and say this, keep on saying these three words: I can, I will, I must. You will definitely develop confidence in yourself. Okay, so hope this session was pretty useful for you all, and I'm guaranteeing you all, if you follow the tips and tricks which I have given you all today, you will definitely master yourself in chemistry, and you will definitely come out with flying colors in your NEET examination. Okay, so thanks a lot. Okay, hope to do. Hope you all will do well in your NEET examination.